The dismissal. The colossal vessel emerged from quantum space without warning. One moment, the Pacific dawn glittered peacefully across the waves. The next, a vessel spanning 12 kilometers stretched across the sky like a metallic leviathan, its crystalline hull refracting the rising sun into a cascade of unnatural colors. Ambassador Katerina Volkova stood on the edge of the runway at Joint Base Pearl Harbor, watching as the alien shuttle descended. The former astrophysicist-turned-diplomat had spent 30 years preparing for this moment, first as a researcher studying theoretical alien civilizations, then as head of Earth's First Contact Division, a position many had dismissed as ceremonial. Until today. "Steady, everyone," she murmured into her comm unit. "Remember protocol, we're representing humanity here." The shuttle touched down with impossible grace, its surface shifting from reflective to matte black. A circular portal opened and Volkova's breath caught in her throat. The being that emerged was both beautiful and terrifying, tall and angular, with skin that seemed to be made of liquid metal, constantly flowing across its form. 4 arms emerged from its torso, each ending in delicate, multi-jointed fingers. Its head was elongated, with 6 eyes arranged in 3 rows that blinked independently. "I am Overseer Xylthex," the alien announced, its voice resonating directly in Volkova's mind rather than through the air. "I speak for the Praxian Collective. This world has been catalogued and scheduled for preliminary integration as a resource colony." Volkova stepped forward, fighting to maintain her composure. "Welcome to Earth, Overseer. I am Ambassador Katerina Volkova, appointed representative of the United Nations of Earth. We welcome peaceful dialogue and mutual." Xalthex raised one of its hands, a gesture that somehow conveyed infinite contempt. "Your species designation is human. Your technological level has been assessed at Class 1, primitive industrial. Your opinions on integration are irrelevant." The words struck like physical blows. Behind her, Volkova heard her security detail shifting uncomfortably, but she pressed on. "With respect, Overseer, perhaps we could discuss this aboard one of our facilities. We have prepared appropriate accommodations." "Unnecessary," Xalthex interrupted. "Your primitive structures cannot provide appropriate environmental conditions. You will board my vessel to receive the integration protocols." 3 hours later, Volkova sat in a conference room aboard the Praxian command ship, fighting to contain her growing fury. The integration protocols were essentially demands for unconditional surrender. Earth would provide raw materials, labor, and genetic samples in exchange for protection from other spacefaring civilizations. When she attempted to negotiate, Xalthex simply repeated that human opinions were irrelevant. "You must understand," the Overseer said, its tone almost paternal, "the galaxy is ordered by capability. Your species cannot even achieve sustainable fusion power. You possess no quantum manipulation technology. Your fastest vehicles would take generations to reach the nearest star system." Its upper set of eyes blinked slowly. "The Praxian Collective offers you advancement through service. With diligent work, your descendants might achieve Class 2 status in 3,000 years." Volkova forced herself to remain diplomatic. "We appreciate your offer, but we must consult with our governments." "You have 12 of your rotations to comply," Xalthex stated. "After that, forced integration protocols will commence." As they were unceremoniously shuttled back to Earth, Volkova immediately contacted the most secure facility on the planet, the Quantum Development Initiative at Shackleton Crater on the Moon's far side. Dr. Nathan Cruz was running on pure adrenaline and coffee as he video-conferenced with Volkova. The facility's stark white walls formed a sterile backdrop to his disheveled appearance. "They've never encountered a quantum fold drive?" he asked incredulously. "Not according to their technology assessment," Volkova replied. "They didn't even scan for it. It's like they assumed we couldn't possibly." "Because we've kept it secret," Dr. Meijiang interjected from her workstation. "The entire program has been under absolute black protocols for 20 years. Our power signature is masked by the crater's natural radiation, and we've never conducted external tests." Cruz pulled up a holographic schematic of humanity's greatest secret, the quantum fold drive. Born from a combination of breakthrough physics and reverse engineering, recovered alien artifacts from the Roswell incident. Though the public never learned the truth, the device allowed instantaneous transportation across interstellar distances by literally folding space. "We have 17 fully operational vessels," Cruz reported. "The Artemis-class heavy cruisers and the Hermes-class interceptors, all equipped with quantum fold drives, plasma cannons, and gravitic shields." Volkova's eyes widened. 17, the last report I saw mentioned only prototypes." Zhang smiled grimly. We've been busy, the question is, can we use them effectively? Can we afford not to? Volkova countered. She had seen the look in Zalthex's eyes, utter certainty of superiority, of humanity's irrelevance. It was the same look aristocrats gave peasants, colonizers gave natives. History had taught her that such attitudes left no room for dignity or negotiation. 6 hours before the Praxian ultimatum expired, Captain James Morgan stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, flagship of Earth's quantum fleet. Around him, the 17 vessels of humanity's secret navy hung in formation above the lunar surface. Each ship represented decades of clandestine development, trillions of dollars, and the combined genius of Earth's finest minds. All vessels report ready for quantum jump, his XO, Commander Lisa Park, announced. Coordinates locked on Praxian home system. Morgan nodded, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. They were about to shatter the galactic status quo to announce humanity's true capabilities in the most dramatic way possible. Open a channel to all ships. He straightened his uniform and faced the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, for years we've hidden our true strength. We developed quantum technology not for conquest but for defense. Today we show the galaxy that humanity will not be dismissed, will not be subjugated. We are not primitives to be exploited. We are a spacefaring species and we will be respected. He paused, looking at the expectant faces of his bridge crew. All ships prepare for quantum jump. Let's show these Praxians what humans are capable of. The 16 vessels seemed to shimmer momentarily before vanishing in flashes of blue-white light. Space folded around them, and in less than a heartbeat, they materialized in the Praxian home system, directly above the collective's capital world. Morgan allowed himself a fierce grin as chaos erupted across Praxian communication channels. Contact Ambassador Volkova, he ordered. Tell her humanity has entered the negotiation. The dismissal was over, now it was time for recognition. A quantum strike. The emergence of 17 human warships in the heart of the Praxian system sent shockwaves through the collective's command structure. Alarms blared across defense stations as ancient security protocols, untested for millennia, struggled to identify the threat. Captain James Morgan stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as Praxian orbital platforms scrambled to respond. Tactical assessment, he demanded. Lieutenant Commander David Nakamura's fingers danced across holographic displays. 32 defense platforms, approximately 90 patrol craft. Technology appears to be energy-based weaponry, similar to what we've seen from their emissaries. They're hailing us, Communications Officer Rebecca Ortiz reported. Multiple channels all demanding immediate surrender. Morgan's jaw tightened. Let them wait. All ships defensive formation alpha, shields at maximum, weapons hot but hold fire. I want them to understand we're not here to invade. The human fleet settled into a perfect defensive sphere, quantum drives idling but ready, shields shimmering with gravitic distortion. It was a display of power and restraint that defied everything the Praxians had expected from primitive humans. In the Grand Council chamber of the Praxian High Command, pandemonium reigned. High Marshal Vexter was attempting to maintain order as counselors from across the collective's territories demanded answers. How did primitives achieve quantum capability? Roared Counselor Telvac, his crystalline form flashing crimson with agitation. Our assessments showed they were centuries from developing basic interstellar propulsion. They deceived us, came a new voice, cold and analytical. Junior analyst Reinkai stepped forward, her small stature belying her keen intellect. I have been reviewing their cultural and technological development patterns. They possess a unique trait, the ability to compartmentalize and hide technological progress while presenting a false technological status. Elaborate, Vexter demanded. Reinkai projected a holographic timeline. Human development appears linear on the surface, but there are anomalies. Missing research budgets, unexplained energy spikes on their moon, recruitment of top scientists who then disappear from public records. They've been developing quantum technology in secret for at least 2 standard cycles. Impossible, scoffed Counselor Telvac. No Class 1 species has ever achieved quantum capability without centuries of observable development. A sudden alert interrupted their debate. On the main display, one of the human vessels, the Artemis, demonstrated a maneuver that defied Praxian understanding of physics. It simply vanished from one location and appeared behind a defense platform, quantum jumping within the system at micro distances. Reinkai's eyes widened with understanding. They've weaponized quantum displacement. They can jump within combat zones, not just between star systems. Back aboard the Defiance, Morgan was coordinating the fleet's demonstration with surgical precision. Each human vessel took turns performing impossible maneuvers, quantum microjumps that made them effectively untouchable by Praxian targeting systems. Captain, we're being targeted by multiple platforms, Nakamura reported. They're attempting to establish firing solutions. Morgan keyed his comm. Hermes and Ajax disable platforms 7 and 12, non-lethal force only. I want to make a point, not start a war. The two interceptors quantum jumped directly beside their targets, unleashing focused EMP bursts that overloaded the platform systems without causing permanent damage. The massive orbital weapons went dark, their crews unharmed but thoroughly humbled. Message to Praxian High Command, Morgan ordered. This is Captain James Morgan of the United Earth Fleet. We come in response to your ultimatum. We are neither primitives nor subjects. We are a sovereign species with capabilities you have clearly underestimated. We request immediate diplomatic negotiations on equal terms. The response came not from the military, but from a previously unknown faction within the Praxian government. High Counselor Ketrana, an ancient being who had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, contacted the human fleet directly. Captain Morgan, her voice resonated through the bridge speakers, carrying undertones of respect rather than disdain. Your demonstration has been illuminating. The standard protocols for integrating new species are clearly insufficient in your case. Morgan exchanged glances with his senior staff. This wasn't the arrogant dismissal they'd encountered before. High Counselor, we appreciate your recognition. We seek peaceful coexistence, not conflict. Then perhaps, Ketrana replied, we should discuss what that coexistence might look like. I invite you and a delegation to the Council Spire. I guarantee your safety. After consulting with Earth Command and Ambassador Volkova via quantum-entangled communications, Morgan agreed. He selected a small team, Lieutenant Commander Nakamura for tactical assessment, Dr. Emily Foster as their xenoanthropologist, and Lieutenant Carlos Rivera as security chief. The Council Spire pierced the amethyst sky of Praxis Prime like a crystalline spear. As the human delegation was escorted through its corridors, they passed beings from a dozen different species, all showing various degrees of surprise at seeing humans walking freely in the heart of Praxian power. High Counselor Ketrana received them in a chamber that seemed to exist partially outside normal spacetime, its walls shifting between solid matter and quantum probability states. Unlike the overtly hostile military officials, she exuded an aura of genuine curiosity. For 60,000 cycles, the Praxian Collective has maintained order in this sector, she began. We assess new species, integrate those with potential, and protect our territories from external threats. Never before has a species hidden such capabilities so effectively. Dr. Foster stepped forward. With respect, High Counselor, perhaps that's because you've never encountered a species that learned the value of strategic deception through millennia of internal conflict. Humans have a saying, appear weak when you are strong. Ketrana's form shimmered with what might have been amusement. Indeed, your species has demonstrated not just technological capability but strategic sophistication. This changes everything. What followed was a revelation that shook the human delegation to its core. The Praxian Collective, Ketrana explained, was not merely an empire but a guardian force. The galaxy was filled with threats far worse than imperial overlords, ancient machine intelligences, extra-dimensional predators, species that consumed entire star systems. We categorize and integrate species not out of malice, Ketrana said, but from necessity. Primitive species attract attention from these threats. By incorporating them into the collective, we protect them until they can protect themselves. Morgan leaned forward, and if a species can already protect itself. Then, Ketrana replied, her form shifting to match human appearance in what seemed like a gesture of equality. They join us as partners rather than subjects. But not all Praxians were ready to accept this paradigm shift. Outside the Council Spire, High Marshal Vexter was mobilizing loyalist forces. To him and many military leaders, the humans represented not just a threat to their authority, but to the entire structure of Praxian society. They're still primitives, Vexter broadcast to his fleet. They've somehow acquired advanced technology, but they lack the wisdom to use it. We must demonstrate the consequences of defying the collective. The Marshal's flagship, the Dominion's Fist, began charging its primary weapon, a quantum destabilizer capable of collapsing spacetime across entire star systems. It was a weapon of last resort, meant for the gravest threats to Praxian supremacy. On the bridge of the Defiance, Commander Park detected the energy buildup. Captain, Marshal Vexter's ship is powering up something massive. Energy readings are off our charts. Morgan didn't hesitate. All ships emergency quantum jump, intercept formation around the Marshal's flagship. The human fleet vanished and reappeared in a perfect sphere around the Dominion's Fist, each vessel projecting gravitic fields that formed a containment bubble around the Praxian warship. Vexter's voice crackled with rage across open channels. "You dare." "Marshal Vexter," Morgan interrupted, his voice steady and authoritative. "Power down your weapon immediately, or we will be forced to demonstrate why humans earned their reputation for warfare on our own planet." Inside the Council spire, High Counselor Ketrana watched the standoff through quantum-link displays. She turned to Dr. Foster. "Your captain threatens violence yet offers restraint. This is the human paradox, is it not?" Foster nodded. "We call it speak softly and carry a big stick. We've learned that strength means nothing without wisdom, and wisdom means choosing not to use that strength unless absolutely necessary." The standoff lasted several tense minutes before Ketrana transmitted a command override directly to Vexter's ship. The Marshal's weapon powered down, and the threat of galactic war receded. "It seems," Ketrana announced to the assembled council, "that humanity has passed its true test. Not of technology but of judgment. I propose we begin negotiations for a new kind of relationship, one between equals." As the human delegation prepared to return to their ship, they knew they had achieved something unprecedented. Humanity hadn't just avoided subjugation. They had earned respect through a combination of technological prowess and diplomatic restraint. The quantum strike had succeeded not through destruction, but through demonstration. Now it was time to forge a new future among the stars. New recognition. 2 weeks after humanity's dramatic entrance into the galactic stage, Ambassador Katerina Volkova stood in the repurposed United Nations Assembly Hall. Representatives from 193 nations watched as she prepared to address them alongside High Counselor Ketrana, whose quantum-projected form shimmered beside the podium. "Esteemed leaders of Earth," Volkova began, "today marks a new chapter in human history. The Praxian Collective has offered us something unprecedented, recognition as a guardian species." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Ketrana raised one of her graceful appendages and silence fell. "Your species has demonstrated wisdom beyond your years," the High Counselor intoned. "Where others sought conquest, you chose restraint. Where others used deception for personal gain, you used it for survival and protection." Behind them, a holographic display showed the proposed treaty, not the humiliating terms of submission originally offered, but a partnership agreement that would reshape the balance of power in the galactic sector. In the Praxian Council chambers, factions continued to clash over humanity's new status. Junior analyst Reinkai presented her findings to a divided assembly. "The human's quantum fold technology is unique," she explained, projecting complex equations. "Unlike our phase shift drives, they actually fold spacetime itself. Combined with their demonstrated ability to quantum microjump in combat, they could revolutionize our defensive capabilities." Counselor Telvac, still resistant to the idea of elevating primitives, scoffed. "And what guarantees their loyalty? They've already proven capable of extensive deception." "Their history provides the answer," Reinkai countered. "Study their pattern of alliances. They integrate former enemies into cooperative structures. Their United Nations was formed after their most destructive war, bringing together bitter adversaries for common purpose." What Reinkai didn't share was her private communication with Dr. Emily Foster, where the human xenoanthropologist had explained the concept of trust but verify, the foundation of all human diplomatic relations. The Praxians were about to learn that human alliances were built on mutual benefit, not fear. Above Jupiter's Great Red Spot, Captain James Morgan oversaw the first joint human-Praxian training exercise. His quantum fleet worked alongside Praxian vessels to simulate defense against a Devourer incursion, one of the extra-dimensional threats Ketrana had warned about. "Fascinating," Commander Lisa Park observed as they watched Praxian ships struggle to adapt to human quantum tactics. "They're incredibly advanced in some areas but rigid in their thinking." Morgan nodded. Thousands of years of superiority breeds complacency. They never had to innovate under pressure like we did. He opened a channel to the Praxian squadron leader. Commander Jexler, try subdividing your formation. Your ships are powerful individually, but you're presenting a concentrated target. The Praxian hesitated before responding. This is not standard protocol. Neither was hiding quantum technology from your assessors, Morgan replied with a slight smile. Sometimes breaking protocol saves lives. Slowly, the combined fleet began to work as one, quantum-jumping human vessels providing tactical flexibility while Praxian heavy cruisers delivered overwhelming firepower. By the end of the exercise, they had repelled 3 simulated Devourer attacks with 0 casualties. Not all transitions were smooth. On Earth, conspiracy theories flourished despite full disclosure. Some groups protested the alliance, fearing loss of human autonomy. Others embraced the partnership too eagerly, forming quasi-religious movements around Praxian technology. Dr. Nathan Cruz and Dr. Mei Zhang found themselves at the center of a different controversy. Now that Earth's quantum program was public, they faced intense scrutiny over the decades of secrecy. 20 years of lying to the public, a reporter challenged during a press conference. How do you justify it? Cruz exchanged glances with Zhang before responding. Ask yourself this. If we had announced our quantum breakthrough 20 years ago, would the Praxians have approached us as equals? Or would they have seen us as a threat to be eliminated before we could fully develop our capabilities? The question hung in the air, forcing humanity to confront an uncomfortable truth about galactic politics. 3 months into the new alliance, crisis struck. A rogue faction of Praxian traditionalists, led by the disgraced Marshal Vexter, launched a coup attempt. They seized control of several orbital weapons platforms and demanded the immediate subjugation of humanity. High Counselor Ketrana turned to Ambassador Volkova, who was aboard the Council station for treaty negotiations. This is our greatest test, Ketrana said gravely. If humans assist in suppressing the coup, it could be seen as interference in internal Praxian affairs. If you don't, Vexter will use it as proof that you cannot be trusted allies. Volkova considered for a moment before activating her quantum communicator. Captain Morgan, we need a third option. Something that demonstrates our commitment without appearing to take sides in Praxian politics. Morgan's response was immediate. Understood, Ambassador, I have an idea, but it's risky. What followed became known in galactic history as the Jupiter Protocol. The human quantum fleet jumped not to the Praxian home system, but to a point equidistant between Earth and Praxis Prime. There, they established a defensive perimeter and broadcast a simple message. This is Captain James Morgan of the Earth Defense Fleet. We respect Praxian sovereignty and will not interfere in internal matters. However, any threat to civilian populations, human or Praxian, will be met with appropriate force. We stand ready to assist in humanitarian efforts only. The move was brilliant in its simplicity. By positioning themselves as neutral protectors rather than partisan combatants, the humans demonstrated both strength and principle. Faced with unified condemnation from the galactic community and the implied threat of human intervention, Vexter's coup collapsed within days. The Marshal was apprehended by loyal Praxian forces and order was restored. As the dust settled, High Counselor Ketrana initiated the final phase of the treaty. In a ceremony broadcast across both worlds, she made an unprecedented declaration. For 60 millennia, the Praxian collective has guided younger species toward galactic citizenship. Today, we acknowledge that wisdom can come from unexpected sources. Humanity has shown us that rapid technological advancement, when coupled with ethical judgment, can be a strength rather than a danger. Ambassador Volkova stepped forward to sign the treaty, her hand steady despite the magnitude of the moment. We enter this alliance not as subjects or superiors, but as partners. Earth commits to joining the defense of this galactic sector against common threats while maintaining our sovereign right to independent development. As the quantum-encoded signatures merged in the treaty crystal, a new era began. Human ships would patrol alongside Praxian vessels, their quantum fold technology gradually integrated into allied fleets. Earth's scientists would gain access to Praxian knowledge archives, while Praxian scholars would study human innovation methodologies. 1 year later, junior analyst Reinkai, now senior strategic advisor Reinkai, visited Earth for the first time. Standing atop the United Nations building with Dr. Emily Foster, she watched the sun set over the Manhattan skyline. I still don't understand, Reinkai admitted. How did you know we would respond to strength rather than destroying you for defiance? Foster smiled. We didn't, but we knew that submission would mean the end of what makes us human. Better to risk destruction as ourselves than survive as something else. In the distance, a joint human-Praxian patrol ship lifted off from Kennedy Spaceport. Its hybrid quantum phase drive leaving a trail of light across the darkening sky. You've changed us, Reinkai said softly. The collective will never be the same. Neither will humanity, Foster replied. But that's what growth looks like, isn't it? Changing each other for the better. As night fell over New York, similar scenes played out across Earth. Children grew up knowing they were citizens of the galaxy. Scientists collaborated across species lines. And humanity, once dismissed as primitive and irrelevant, took its place as guardians of peace in their sector of space. The dismissal was over, the partnership had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.